Diablo 2 has some of the most expensive items ever sold in modern ARPG history. But what are these items? And more importantly, how did we even get here? This is the story behind Diablo 2's most expensive gear. D2 is a strange game. We chase a mysterious wanderer through the world of Sanctuary in a canonically never-ending quest to conquer the most powerful demons in the realm. Baal, the Lord of Destruction, Mephisto, Lord of Hatred, and Diablo, the Lord of Terror, collectively comprise the treacherous trio known as the Prime Evils. And while crossing these demons can cost players their lives, it certainly doesn't cost them any extra money.
I ain't giving you no $350, you goddamn Loch Ness monster! Get your own goddamn money!
So why do players spend money in this game? Some people think that the seasonal ladder has something to do with that. But is that really true? About every 3 months, the active season in D2 resets. Players start from scratch and try to claw their way up to the top of the ranks, being among the first few to reach level 99. And while spending money on items here can give you a slight advantage, unless you're willing to degenerately compromise your mental health and adult relationships for a few days straight, it probably won't lead to you winning anything. You don't even really need perfect gear to compete anyway. If you've seen this video, you'll know that a player beat 2 of the most spoiled streamers to the top of the Necro charts last season, and he certainly didn't pay much, if anything, for his items. So maybe it's PvP. D2 does have quite a prosperous dueling scene, with many of the best players boasting godly gear. But even this endgame activity, at least in the traditional sense, has a way of favoring skill as much as, if not more than, item quality. While good gear in traditional PvP can be worth money, it doesn't even come close to the dollar signs we see in the headlines. So what's really going on? Melee is a different form of player versus player combat, and certainly doesn't follow traditional PvP etiquette. Imagine a dueling arena where the typical variances of skill are removed, and you simply rely on the power of your character's items to carry you to victory. That's basically melee dueling. This arena is ripe for focusing all the attention on a player's gear, and that's certainly what's made it so expensive throughout D2 history. In Lord of Destruction, the original 2001 release, the melee community began to grow, but even in its heyday, the value of melee gear wasn't nearly what it is today. But why? The most prolific reason as to why melee prices in LoD never went parabolic was this. Crashing entire servers would allow players to roll back quests and do them again. The Charcy Imbue quest was a big target for this. You could practically fill an entire server with high-level characters, attempt the Imbue quest, and crash the server if you didn't like any of the results. The simple secret to doing this was hidden for over a decade. But here's how it worked. First, a player would grab a pre-patch item like this and try to upgrade it using the Horadric Cube recipe. Secondly, there is no second, that's it. The entire server would crash and roll back every character on it, essentially allowing you to redo the Charcy quest. Surprisingly, this was only recently patched and was an exploit that existed for many years. This pretty much curbed the value of godly melee gear back then, but still to this day, a handful of players compete in an ongoing melee ladder on LoD, and their gear is insane. But fast forward 20 years, and melee dueling would reach all new heights. In 2021, Diablo 2 was resurrected and remade by Blizzard, this time without all the previous dupes and exploits. Well, it wasn't completely devoid of exploits. When Chinese botters caught wind of the infinite gold glitch, they went to town. This video is not sped up at all and depicts a bot not only creating gold, but using it to massively gamble on circlets until it finds something rather godly. But at least Blizzard is quite a bit faster at patching these things now, and despite what some people might think, they're far better at banning bots. Additionally, the hard separation of realms was no longer a thing, meaning players from all across the world could play against each other and trade gear. Demand was at its highest for godly melee gear to be found, and found it certainly was. The items you're about to see are a bit out of most people's price range, but if you want to save in the gaming world, here's the trick. G2A, or Gate to Adventure, is basically the secret code for gamers when it comes to saving money. Everything from game keys to software and gift cards are heavily discounted here, more than you'll see anywhere else. Thinking about trying Night Rain? This is the best place to go, because even the newest titles are massively discounted. Don't miss this one because it won't be around for long. But if you do, just bookmark G2A and check it out next time you want to try any new game. You'll be surprised at what you find when you start poking around. If you want to help my channel too, just check it out with my link below. This helm is confirmed to have sold for over $9,000. But why? In this dueling format, gear with attack rating and defense modifiers is highly sought after, and this might be the only 5-bow helm in existence with the Viso mod and over 600 defense. Attack rating and defense dictate how often you hit and how often you get hit versus your opponent. The more AR you have, the more often you hit. The more defense you have, the less often you get hit. So unlike their caster gear counterparts, these attributes are extremely valuable on melee items, but these aren't the only types of items that fetch quite a premium. Casual players might be shocked by the fact that this belt can sell for over $1,000. It's just a dungo's, right? The difference is, this item is 100% perfect. Many abilities on this item roll within a range, and the odds of them all rolling to their maximum are extremely low. And while this might sound expensive for an item that we see all the time, it's chump change when compared to some of these other items. Here's one of the most expensive items ever sold in LoD. It was probably an import. Rares can spawn with up to 6 modifiers, and what those modifiers are make a huge difference in their value. This axe is estimated to be worth more than 17 grand. All 6 rare modifiers on this item are extremely useful in a melee setting, but strangely enough, rare items can be worth quite a bit even without all 6 mods being good. The Nova proc on this weapon is practically useless in melee, but the fact that the modifiers with the most importance spawned in the other 5 slots makes this item worth around $10,000. And this hammer, with 4 useful mods, is worth about the same. Hammers, or legendary mallets, are one of the most powerful and desirable weapons in melee. This one in particular is confirmed to have sold for $11,500. You won't find casual players crafting helms very often for their endgame builds, but they're missing out. This helm is estimated to be worth between $6,000 and $7,000. It has many of the useful abilities we've seen on melee armor pieces, but because of the crafting formula, it also spawned with 10% deadly strike. Players using rare weapons, especially ones with only 1 socket, often struggle to stack this. As a result, an ethereal death cleaver is often better than their complicated setups. But when you have the right pieces like this to go around, you can min-max your damage output quite handily. This crafted ring is worth about $6,000. Unlike most rings, melee rings don't care about having the faster cast rate ability on them. Instead, the more stat points you see, the better. Life and attack rating are also a must, and with this one spawning nearly perfect on all of those abilities, you can see why it's worth so much. With items like these being worth so much, has everything been found? Or do melee treasure hunters still have a chance to strike it rich? This item is the most expensive piece ever sold in Diablo 2, and some estimates put its value at $120,000. And while Wraithcrack is surprisingly similar to one of the top hammers from LoD, there's still room for improvement. And the same could be said for every melee item in D2R. But where could it possibly go from here? Melee dueling is huge all around the world, and the GM Melee Discord is bigger than ever. With Blizzard taking a more proactive stance against botters, the power is back in the hands of players. But the question is, when will the next big ticket item be found?